prime minister of the fake state of Israel wants you really to believe really hard that he really had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk's demise. He's still going. Give him enough rope, let him hang himself, as far as I'm concerned.
Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, said that the bigger the lie, the faster it will spread. Well, somebody has fabricated a monstrous big lie that Israel had something to do with Charlie Kirk's horrific murder.
I don't know. If I look close enough, I think I can see you pulling the trigger. If you are so concerned about people thinking that you're a murderer, I mean, we already know you're a genocidal mass murderer, but Palestinians don't count, so we're not worried about them. Yeah, people think that you're a murderer. And what's one more body in the ground going to mean? You see, the problem we have isn't just about Muslims, brown people. What it really means is, where is the money and where is the power? That's what it's about. That is the essence of the problem. Charlie Kirk had a lot of money and a lot of power, and he made a lot of money, and he gave a lot of power. And he was very useful until he wasn't. Milikowski couldn't wait to be the first person to say how much he loved Charlie Kirk after he was dead, even though it has been well documented that he refused his financial advances, as well as a trip to the Holy Land. Whatever his reasoning was, it was pretty valid. And now your type of damage control is what exactly? Because I'm still not getting it, other than what Fonger said. Either you are 50 states and one Israel, or you're not. We loved Charlie so much, and we'll love you just the same if you ever cross us. I think that's what he was really saying.
This is insane. It is false. It is outrageous. Charlie Kirk was a giant, a once-in-a-century talent who defended freedom, defended America, defended our common Judeo-Christian civilization.
You mean your Judeo-Christian civilization, not mine, and probably not much of the audience. Remember the separation of church and state? It's right there in the First Amendment of our most important document as a nation. But don't let that fuckhead fool you. He'd have you believe otherwise. Charlie Kirk was a talent. No question. He was a great talent. He could grift with the best of them. And maybe some of what he preached was what he really believed. But in the end, he didn't realize just how small he really was in the grand scheme of things. So when Milikowski is out there buffing his rotting balls, I don't know why he's doing this. And this isn't the first time. This is like the third time he's doing it. And it's not because he has a guilty conscience. That man isn't capable of feeling guilt about anything. He is the ultimate psychopath. The only logical conclusion that I can come to in terms of why he's doing this is because he still feels that he has to get everybody in line who is even thinking about getting off of the Israel plantation. If you even think about leaving or not doing as we tell you to do, see Exhibit A. There is no other explanation. If somebody in the chat wants to give me an idea as to what I may be missing here, but I can't see it. Why would he do this?
Charlie loved Israel. He loved the Jewish people. He told me so in a letter that he sent me just a few months ago.
Why don't you show the contents of the letter? Show people what's in the letter. You won't do that. Because what's in the letter might actually clue in as to why he was taken out. Just a thought.
One of my greatest joys as a Christian, he said, is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. He encouraged me to make the case directly to the American people about how vital Israel is to U.S. national security. He told me, the Holy Land is so important to my life, it pains me to see support for Israel slip away. Now, if Charlie disagreed with a policy of mine or a decision here and there, not only did I not mind, I welcomed it.
You know, we say Trump is the most honest liar we've ever seen. I honestly don't know when Bibi is telling the truth or telling a lie. Frankly, I think it's all a lie. I'm sure Charlie Kirk did love the Holy Land very much. I think Charlie Kirk probably was a devout Christian in his public and private life. But in the end, he didn't want anything to do with you or your kind. Zionism was something that he finally came to terms with, was not what he was led to believe. Remember, this guy was prepped from the time that he was 17 years old. It's very hard to unwind that by the time he's 31. People can face harsh awakenings at various points in their life. It is painfully clear to me that Charlie was dealing with some internal reckoning of sorts that he didn't know how to deal with, because as it was reported by Harrison Smith in InfoWars, he feared for his life. The guy's fearing for his life and then he gets assassinated. As I've said, and I'll say it, I've said it before, I'll say it again. We live in a digital world. There's a reason why we have so many gamers and they're popular. So many of the movies that are made today, like the Marvel universe, is not real. But when Charlie got killed, things got a little too real for a lot of people that had otherwise not thought that anything of that nature was even possible. And now you see things for what they are.
This is the essence of Charlie. This is the essence of a free country. It's exactly what Charlie stood for. And I knew that his suggestions always came from the heart, from his love for Israel and from his love for the Jewish people. A few weeks before his death, I spoke to Charlie. I invited him to visit Israel again. And sadly, that won't happen.
He made it very clear that he had no interest in going to see you. And Candace has used her platform for all it's worth to make it very clear that she communicated with Charlie. And he said, I am not going to Israel. I am not only not going to Israel, I am not taking his money. So he is omitting. He's lying, but he's deliberately omitting the full scope of the story. Yes, you did invite him to Israel, and he said, no, I'm okay. Thanks, but no thanks.
Now some are peddling these disgusting rumors, perhaps out of obsession, perhaps with Qatari funding.
You know, the funny thing about the Israel lobby, they really like to go in on this narrative that somehow our government is funded. I mean, listen, I've seen Tim Pool, he's not the worst, but the point is, I've seen Tim bring people onto his live stream, including some woman whose name is slipping me right now, but it's a Zion Nazi. And they're going with this talking point that it's Qatar that is actually the problem here. They're the ones funding our government, and the Israel lobby is just trying to prevent Qatar from taking our country over. That's their narrative. That's what they're going with. Will that sell? Can we sell that one? I don't know. Go with it anyway. That's what they're doing.
do know is this: Charlie Kirk was a great man, and a great man deserves honor, not lies. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. May your memory be a blessing.
You know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Not to speak ill of the dead, but what exactly did Charlie Kirk do to be such a great man and warrant this fawning post-death? I'm still trying to figure it out because I'm at a loss for words. I don't know what it is. I'm not here to say, as people have exaggerated, everyone is going to have a very strong opinion about Kirk. And that's okay. My opinion is that if you guys look back in our catalog, and we've done several clips on Kirk prior to his assassination, there were times when we called him out harshly. There were also times where I, in particular, acknowledged where he was right. In fact, one of the best clips that we did regarding Charlie was him calling out Blackstone and how future generations have been completely destroyed by private equity's systemic takeover of real estate in the United States. So he was a mixed bag for sure. But they do this. They do this because they know that the walls are closing in. Now, they may not think that the walls are closing in. And there are many theories as to why exactly. What is it that they're doing that is causing this to happen? Going after the wrong people is not a smart move. You might think that you can get certain people to shut up and get in line. If there is one person who is not going to get in line, it's Tucker Carlson. And he had this to say about Netanyahu.
Was shocked and sickened by the reaction of the ghoulish and really repulsive reaction of the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, to Charlie's death. Basically made it all about him and all about his country. Immediately trying to take the energy, the sadness, the grief that people felt over Charlie's murder and redirect it towards support for whatever project he's involved in. And by the way, Benjamin Netanyahu is not the same as the nation of Israel at all, but I don't think I've ever seen anything lower than his attempt to hijack Charlie's memory and use it for his own political ends, particularly because what he said was completely untrue. Charlie didn't hate Jews. He loved Jews. He had tons of friends who were Jews. He loved the state of Israel. He loved going there. He did not like Bibi Netanyahu, and he said that to me many times, and he said it to people around him many times. He was appalled.
As he should have been. I know I would be. So one has to ask themselves, why does Milikowski feel the need? For those who still don't know, Milikowski is Netanyahu's real name, because everything related to Israel is fake as hell. One really has to ask themselves why he's going to such lengths to prove his innocence. He doesn't seem to want to prove his innocence when committing a genocide on the Palestinian people. It is amazing. But I got to tell you, Tucker Carlson's an interesting guy. He's always been a man of privilege, immense privilege. He's heir to the Swanson Foods fortune. But he is a person who's had somewhat of a political renaissance over the past probably 7-8 years, I would say. My respect for Tucker Carlson changed in a huge way, in a defining way, all the way back in 2017. Remember when Trump first got in there and they were coming after him with everything they had. But then he bombed Damascus, and everybody loved him for about 5 minutes. But Tucker, it was reported, devoted his show on Fox News that following evening to call out the president and say, do not go to war in Syria. This is not the answer. If you take out Assad, you're going to get ISIS. Much like Saddam, much like Gaddafi. You may not like some of these leaders in the Middle East, but they hold things together. And if you remove them, you're going to get this vacuum that is going to kill millions of innocent people. And lo and behold, what it turns out, that so much of that death and destruction came as a result of the interests of the genocidal state of Israel. So Tucker's been putting himself in harm's way for over 8 years. And while I don't agree with all of his takes, I've agreed with pretty much every one of them on Israel. I agree that he does like to preface it with, I love Israel. I think Israel's great. I don't like Milikowski. Okay, you know what? It's still better than nothing. Whatever's going to bring about the salvation of the Palestinian people, however quick it can happen, Tucker's on that side. And we should all be grateful that he is.
By what was happening in Gaza, he was above all resentful that he believed Netanyahu was using the United States to prosecute his wars for the benefit of his country. Didn't hate Netanyahu, but he certainly expressed that to me and a lot of other people. Enough text messages exist that I think it can probably be verified in pretty short order. Not that it needs to be, because that is true.
Tucker's saying, I've got the receipts. If you dare me to show them, I will. But notice how nobody is coming out and saying he's a liar. They're going after Candace pretty hard, but they're not going after Tucker. I wonder why that is. Now, many people think Tucker is intelligence. Those of you who've been watching the channel for a while, you would know that I had my father on as a guest, talk about the economy. My father was at an event for the Teddy Roosevelt Foundation, interestingly enough, in Naples, Florida, about 2 months ago. And this picture was taken. He had a nice conversation, said he was cool, you know, kind of dorky, which I expected. But they had an interesting chat. You know, perhaps Tucker is just somebody who has evolved.